Nothing bad happened. That's what makes it so confusing. There was no big fight, no harsh words exchanged. There wasn't a clear moment where things just broke. In fact, everything seemed pretty normal. The conversations were still happening, the replies were still coming through, but you could feel something was missing, even if you couldn't put your finger on it just yet. The warmth faded long before the words did. Messages still arrived, but they didn't land the same way. You felt a distance growing before you could actually see it. And when the end finally came, it didn't arrive with a loud bang. It arrived quietly. There was no argument, no explanation. Just a subtle, silent disappearance from your emotional world. At first, you don't panic. You tell yourself they're just busy. You assume life got in the way, as it often does, so you wait. But waiting without any context isn't a neutral act. It's stressful. The human mind hates a vacuum. It despises gaps without meaning. So it starts to go backward, replaying every conversation, rereading every message, revisiting moments that once felt completely harmless. You find yourself dissecting a sentence, a pause, a reply you sent too quickly, or maybe too late. This isn't because you're weak or dependent. It's because something significant ended without ever being named. When someone disappears without an explanation, the mind doesn't register it as simple distance. It experiences it as an unfinished story, and unfinished stories demand our full attention. You start asking questions you never needed answers to before. Did I talk too much? Was I too available? Did they meet someone else? Was I just a temporary placeholder? Each one of these questions creates a new potential story. None of them are confirmed, none of them bring closure, and that's exactly where the pain begins. You notice yourself checking your phone, not really for messages anymore, but for a sense of relief, for a sign that you can finally relax. Most people think the pain of this situation comes from missing the person, but that's not entirely true. You can miss someone and still feel at peace, especially if you understand why they left. The real gnawing pain comes from not knowing where you stand. Silence keeps your nervous system on high alert. There's no clear signal that says, this is over, and there's no signal that says, this is safe. So your mind stays perpetually alert, waiting for a resolution that may never come. People often say if they cared, they would have explained. But caring isn't the same as having courage. Giving an explanation requires facing someone's disappointment. It requires witnessing their reaction and sitting with the discomfort of the moment. For many, creating distance feels far easier than offering clarity. So, silence becomes a decision. It's not always a conscious, malicious one, but it's a protective one for them. And the emotional cost of that protection is carried entirely by the person left behind, guessing in the dark. Over time, you'll notice the silence stops being about them and starts being about you. Your sense of worth starts to hinge on these unanswered questions. Your confidence bends and warps around their absence. Your very identity gets tangled up in something that was never explained, and the longer this situation stays unresolved, the deeper the wound goes. But what's really important to understand here is this: your mind isn't trying to hurt you, it's actually trying to protect you. Uncertainty feels dangerous to our brains. So the mind fills the silence with its own meaning. Not because the stories it creates are accurate, but simply because the narrative is unfinished. And the stories the mind creates in these situations are rarely kind. They are shaped by our deepest fears, not by facts. This is precisely why silence can hurt far more than an honest, direct rejection. Rejection, as painful as it is, gives the mind an ending. It provides a clear conclusion to the story. Silence, on the other hand, gives the mind endless, agonizing possibilities, and trying to navigate endless possibilities is utterly exhausting. Once you truly see this, something profound begins to shift. You stop asking, "Why did they change?" and you start noticing, "What is this silence doing to me?" You start to realize that the pain you're feeling isn't proof that you weren't good enough. It's proof that something ended without closure, and closure doesn't always have to come from their words. Sometimes it comes from your own understanding. When words disappear, the mind will always create its own meaning. It won't necessarily be the truth, it will just be the loudest, most persistent story. And remember, loud doesn't mean true. It's in that fundamental understanding that your mind is just telling you a story to fill a void, that the weight finally begins to lift. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content like this. Take care.